Ok, buenos días. Hoy es jueves 30 de mayo. And yesterday we covered how to create questions and numbers. And today we are going to continue with more vocabulary. The vocabulary section number 2, vocabulario comunicación 2, en la universidad. Okay, en la universidad. We're going to talk about university places and objects. And these are things that are very familiar to you. So you can be thinking about the places, the buildings in your university, and making associations like that, and it will make a lot more sense. Okay, so los lugares around campus. Okay, the places, los lugares, los lugares. We have some new vocabulary here. Okay, so we have el cuarto, the room or the dorm room. Cuarto means just room. Okay. And el cuarto está en la residencia. The residencia is the dorm, the dorm, okay, the residency of the students. Okay, so la residencia, la residencia. El estadio, the stadium, el estadio. El gimnasio, the gym. La librería, and librería does not mean library. Okay, librería means bookstore. Biblioteca means library. Okay, so don't get confused. Biblioteca, library, and librería, bookstore. Okay, y el centro estudiantil, the student center, el centro estudiantil, la cafetería, cafeteria. Okay, all right, so here you have more useful words. El apartamento, the apartment, el apartamento, el edificio, the building, el laboratorio, the lab, y la tienda, the store. Any store, we can call it la tienda. Okay? Muy bien. Now, inside a dorm, we can talk about, la televisión. Remember the words that end in ción. La televisión, el reloj, and be thinking about how to make them in the plural, and some of them how to make them in this, into feminine. If they're feminine, how to make them into the masculine, because that all nouns have gender and number. So la televisión ends with an N, so how are you going to make it plural? Televisiones. Okay, so be thinking about when you learn new nouns, you need to keep in mind that they will have gender and number. Okay, so singular and plural, masculine or feminine. Okay, so el reloj, the clock, la televisión, el DVD, el dinero, the money, el dinero, la calculadora, los discos compactos, or we also say los CD o los CD, la computadora, el radio o la radio. Here it says in this note that el radio is the actual, the physical thing, okay? And la radio is the broadcast. El despertador, the alarm clock, el despertador. Y this is a girl, so we're going to call her la compañera de cuarto. La compañera de cuarto. If it were two guys, and if this was a guy, we would say el compañero de cuarto. Okay? We have vocabulary there, or like here, el compañero de cuarto is a male roommate. El horario de clases is the schedule of classes. El horario, H is silent. El reproductor de CD o de DVD, the CD or DVD player, reproductor. Okay, so that is your new vocabulary for today. So you're going to practice some with vocabulary to become familiar with it. Okay, so for example, see, the verbs are all coming back. So you're going to, for example, read these actions. Okay, for example, leer libros, estudiar, and you can think about where, in what place you do this action. Okay, leer libros or estudiar, that would be in the library, right? La biblioteca. So where would you perform these actions? Comer pasta Y tomar café, and you can name the place. Comprar libros. Okay, so the verbs are coming back, so you need to know, number one, what they mean, and number two, how to conjugate them. But in this case, we're just going to leave them in the infinitive because we're just talking about the action itself, not somebody specific doing them. Just think about where you would perform these actions to practice the vocabulary that you just learned. Okay. Here, you also, for example, can think about what items you have in your dorm room. So you're going to use again the verb to have, the verb tener. Okay. Por ejemplo, tengo una calculadora, una computadora, o no tengo un radio, un reproductor. So see, everything starts coming together. What do I have? What do I not have in the dorm room? So you use the verb to have. Okay, and here the questions are coming back. When you meet new people in college, you ask a lot of questions, right? Especially if you have a roommate that you had never met before. So you ask a lot of questions. So you need to you can practice, asking questions like you learned yesterday. De dónde eres? Where are you from? ¿Qué estudias? ¿Dónde estudias? And asking the questions and answering them with the verb conjugated for yourself, for the first person, for yo. Okay. Por ejemplo, ¿dónde o qué estudias? Estudio español. O ¿dónde compras tus libros? Yo compro mis libros en la librería, etc. Okay, so practice with those questions and those verbs and the vocabulary. Okay, muy bien. So now we're going to go to the verb estar. Estar. The verb estar also expresses to be, just like the verb ser that we already learned. Okay, we learned the verb ser, and now we're going to learn the verb estar, and they both mean to be, both of them. They are not interchangeable. Okay, so if you use one, it means one thing. If you use the other one, it means a different thing. So they're not interchangeable. So we need to learn what the difference is between them. Okay, you already know ser, yo soy, tú eres, él es, and we use ser to describe people, but to describe their more permanent traits, for example, personality or physical traits, things that are not going to change anytime soon. For example, if somebody is tall, that's not going to change tomorrow, okay? So it's rather permanent. So to describe personality or physical traits that describe, that identify a person, we use ser. For estar, we can use the verb estar to describe someone, but only to describe the state of being at the moment, okay? For example, I say, I am tired. I'm going to say, estoy cansada. When I ask you questions when we do the conferences, I always start with, ¿cómo estás? And some of you say, estoy muy bien. ¿Cómo estás tú? Okay, so how are you? How are you at the moment? So we use the verb estar. They both mean to be, but they're not used interchangeably. Okay? Estar, like the other two verbs that we learned, tener y ser, are not regular, like we learned earlier this week. So that means that you can't just drop the ar ending and add the usual ar endings. This is an irregular verb, so you're going to have to learn how it's conjugated. Okay, yo estoy, tú estás, ¿cómo estás? Estoy bien. Usted, él, ella está. Nosotros, nosotras estamos. Vosotros, vosotras estáis. Ustedes, ellos y ellas están. Okay? So that's a conjugation of the verb estar. Ser and estar are not interchangeable. They are used differently. So two very common uses of the verb estar. To describe the location of someone or something. Every time you're talking about where someone or something is, the location is going to be the verb ser. The verb estar. Manuel está en la sala de clase. So Manuel is in the classroom. That is the location. Nuestros padres están en México. Our parents are in Mexico, the location. Or for example, you can say Spain is in Europe. España está en Europa. España está en Europa. See? Every time we talk about location, estar. And then to describe how someone is feeling or to express a change from the norm. Estoy bien, ¿y tú? Estamos tristes hoy. We are sad today. All right? Estamos tristes. See? Now, if you use the verb said with an adjective that communicates something that can change, what you are meaning is that that person is sad all the time. If you say somos tristes without oy, right? Somos tristes, you're saying that we are sad all the time. That is what defines us. That we are sad people. Okay. So that's why we use the verb estar to describe something that can change. It's something that is a change from the norm, something that is not quite as permanent as a physical trait. Okay, very good. So you're going to practice with using the different conjugations of estar, all right? And you have different activities in my Spanish lab. Review this section that talks about the verb estar and when it's used and how to conjugate it, and do the activities, okay? Like I said, for geography, when you talk about where something is, where a city is, for example, Washington. ¿Dónde está Washington, D.C.? ¿Dónde está? Where is it? ¿Dónde está? You already know the question word. ¿Dónde está? Washington, D.C. está en los Estados Unidos. All right, so when you talk about different places in the world, location, you're going to use the verb estar. Por ejemplo, ¿dónde está La Habana? La Habana está en Cuba, ¿sí? ¿Dónde está Buenos Aires? Buenos Aires está en Argentina. Okay, so to talk about location, the verb estar, not the verb ser. And another use for the verb estar is to talk about emotions and states of being. Okay, these are things that can change from one moment to another, from one day to another, or from one week to another. Okay, for example, I had never seen that word before. Chema y Gloria. Chema y Gloria están aburridos. Chema está aburrido. Gloria está aburrida. ¿Ok? Roberto está cansado. Mayra está cansada. Okay, this means bored. This means tired. Ellos están cansados. Okay, plural. Samuel está contento. He's happy. Y Tina está contenta. Ellos están contentos. Because it's two of them. Rui está enfermo. He's sick. Y Carmen está enferma. Ellos, Rui y Carmen, están enfermos. Memo está enojado, angry. Y Eva está enojada. Memo y Eva están enojados. Nervous. Carlos está nervioso. Patricia está nerviosa. Carlos y Patricia están nerviosos. Ramón está preocupado, worried. Raquel está preocupada. Ramón y Raquel, los dos, están preocupados. Fernando está triste, sad. Silvia está triste. Notice that it ends in an E, so we use the same adjective for both. Fernando y Silvia están tristes. Okay, so feliz, happy. All right. Remember how to make the adjectives that end in a Z plural. Remember how to do that. We have to change the Z for a C and then add ES. So, Carlos está feliz. Rebeca está feliz. Carlos y Rebeca están felices. Okay, felices. In Spanish, there is no such thing as adding an S right after a consonant. Okay, so if a word ends in a Z and you need to make it into the plural, you have to add ES, not just S. Okay, very good. So you're going to practice with emotions and states of being and the verb estar. Okay, let me see what's Next. Okay, so that is it for today, and tomorrow we're going to finish the chapter with, we're going to go back to el verbo gustar, the verb gustar a little bit, because we're going to use it, we're going to learn another use of the verb gustar, okay? So, muy bien, do all your work, and I will get back to you tomorrow, okay? Hasta mañana.